Hi everyone. In an era where AI is rapidly transforming the way we work, you might be wondering about the future of your job. Will it be completely automated? Will you be able to leverage your existing skills to continue making a living? These are tough questions that can feel difficult and unsettling, and often go unaddressed by traditional career advice. In this video, we explore strategies to navigate the evolving job market, enhance your skill set, and shape an interesting and satisfying career. Rest assured, it is certainly still worthwhile to invest in yourself. Keep watching to learn more. This video has 3 parts: the job market, the role of intelligence, and investing in yourself. Part 1, the job market. I want to start off by saying that it's not in your imagination, job loss is real. Actually, automation has been causing job loss since the Industrial Revolution, but AI seems like a bit of a different beast because it can replace a lot of jobs if given the opportunity. When you look at it that way, it's natural to be afraid, but a big component of fear is lack of understanding. So we'll dive into several aspects of AI's ability to do jobs in this video. There's uncertainty, of course, about precise timelines. The point at which AI becomes truly general as a human brain is called artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Once we reach AGI, jobs will start to get replaced much more rapidly. Many estimates for AGI, including my own estimates, put it at less than 5 years away. And of course, it could be much faster than that. Counterintuitively, however, faster AGI evolution is actually better for people that are worried about losing jobs. Why? Because if you have AGI evolving quickly, it means there will be a shorter period of time before everybody starts to see the pressure of jobs getting replaced. So as more and more jobs disappear, more people will be in the same situation. And that means the political will to act and, for example, enact universal basic income or a different economic system will be present. And when the time comes, make sure to be politically active if you're able to do so. Changes don't vote themselves in. But in this video, we're going to focus on how you might keep a job for as long as possible, assuming that is something you would wish to do so that you can maintain a higher standard of living during this transitory period before AGI is created. Again, this would only be temporary job security in the sense that if you are under age 50 or more than a few years away from retirement, you probably will see your job become automated at some point. The hope is that by the time your job does become automated, all of society has already transformed into a post-labor economy, and you can sit back and enjoy your early retirement. I do want to note that even once AGI does get created, it won't percolate through society immediately and take over every job immediately. Of course, it will be adopted extremely quickly, as new tech is these days, but there's only so fast you can move when replacing an entire economy's worth of jobs. There are also many fields that are somewhat old school and dependent on long business cycles or relationships between people, etc. Insurance, medicine, and some forms of business are good examples of this. Some fields will leap ahead in terms of their adoption of AI technologies, while others will lag behind. I would anticipate that the fastest this could possibly happen would be at least a year. It takes a long time to organize humans. Since I mentioned industries, which industries would be the safest from automation? There are a few, mostly those centered around jobs that don't involve critical thinking, data analysis, or obscure knowledge, because AI is very good at those. But anything that leverages physical dexterity or human-to-human interaction, like talking to customers, certainly the professional trades, maybe medicine, all are good examples of jobs that are likely to stay in human hands for quite some time. I went looking and found a paper from OpenAI, University of Pennsylvania, and others that analyzes which jobs are most prone to automation. I should mention that this paper doesn't seem to be published yet. It looks like it's still a draft. The title is, very confusingly, GPTs are GPTs, where the second acronym there stands for General Purpose Technology. I guess it's an economics term, but it's very confusing anyway. This paper took a list of all the job types that exist in the US economy, along with all the different tasks that are generally associated with those job types, and then used both humans and an AI system, GPT-4, to look at each of those tasks and say, that looks like it could be automated, or that looks very unlikely to be automated. It is pretty funny that they started using an AI model to start trying to come up with these automatability metrics. I guess it's the wave of the future. Anyway, I couldn't find the total number of jobs in their data set, but there were only 34 of them that were completely untouched by these predictions by the AI and the humans. In other words, none of the tasks that were commonly associated with that job type seemed to be in any danger of automation. At least 80% of the job types had 10% automatability. In other words, most of the jobs were at least partially automatable. And as for the ones that were mostly automatable, like more than 50% automatable, there weren't really that let many under the study's assumptions. Only about 19% of all the jobs were really automatable. But they did have some pretty strict assumptions, including assuming that AI would need to make a task twice as fast before it would start to be used. Anyway, the paper was a fairly formal analysis of what we can all see coming, which is that jobs are being automated, and it gave some good indications of which jobs were more likely to end up becoming automated and which ones were more likely to be more difficult to automate. You can check it out in the links below if you're interested. In a similar vein, I found a job ranking site called willrobotstakemyjob.com, also linked down below, which is partially analysis-based and partially crowdsourced analyses of various different jobs. So you can punch in a specific job if you want to know more about it. So hopefully that will satisfy you if you have a burning desire to look up your AI fortune. But that's not really the point of this video. In the rest of the video, I'm going to talk about higher level career approaches that you might think about so you can avoid holding the short straw when automation starts happening. Part 2, the role of intelligence. It's pretty well known that there are different types of learning and people learn in different ways. There are a lot of skills that AI seems very good at and can therefore be a very good tutor for, and one can imagine that a lot of our educational system is going to start getting replaced by personalized AI tutors that can suss out exactly where your misunderstanding lies and provide customized teaching materials. That aside though, there are certain types of skills that are best learned elsewhere. In a studio, in a gymnasium, presenting in front of a crowd, engaging in a heated debate, etc. That's because there are multiple types of intelligence, at least according to the theory of multiple intelligences, which comes from psychology. Depending on which version of the theory you're looking at, there might be different number of categories of types of intelligence, but I think most commonly there are 9 types. I'll go through them really quickly. Verbal linguistic intelligence, like speaking and understanding. Mathematical logical intelligence, being able to think abstractly and form patterns. This is the form of intelligence that IQ measures. Musical intelligence, self-explanatory. Visual spatial intelligence, which is about being able to think in images and reason about where things are in 3D space. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence, which is how athletic you are basically. Interpersonal intelligence, which is basically social intelligence, being able to detect the moods and feelings of other people. Intrapersonal intelligence, being aware of your own feelings and thoughts, like how aware you are of your own psychology. Naturalist intelligence, which is about being able to recognize plants, animals, rocks, anything from the natural world. And finally, existential intelligence, being able to tackle deep questions like the meaning of life, as well as being spiritual, I think. So those are the 9 different types of intelligence according to the multiple intelligences theory. Of all those types of intelligence, I hypothesize that AI is really only good at 3 of them right now: verbal linguistic, mathematical logical, and visual spatial. AI is really good at making sentences and paragraphs. It's really good at reasoning logically and spotting patterns, and is really good at making art. Possibly AI is good at making music as well. I haven't been following that very closely. But all the others, no one is really trying to get AI to do right now, so humans are much better at them. The multiple intelligences theory is a theory, and colloquially, when we speak about intelligence, we basically mean mathematical, logical reasoning, and that's what IQ measures. And it's not even a super accurate measurement of one's intellectual ability in that category. But as a society, we like to equate IQ to being smart, and our educational system is mostly built up around that as well. Sure, you have phys ed and art classes and different things like that, but school really emphasizes mathematical, logical skills. In addition to IQ, you may have also heard of EQ, or emotional quotient, which is sort of the second most common category of intelligence that we tend to talk about as a society. And I think from that list of 9, that EQ covers interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence, or social and reflexive intelligence. When you get really good at one of these categories of intelligence, you get really, really fast at it. You start being able to take larger steps of reasoning, or larger leaps, literally speaking, depending on the category, because more of your brain gets dedicated to solving that type of problem, and the steps get encoded into your neural network, so to speak. Apparently, though, by the way, many of those different types of intelligence are mapped to different physical portions of your brain. And I'm not a psychologist. I don't know how common this is. I do know that if you have brain trauma, part of your brain can start to take over functions that something else was supposed to be doing. But generally speaking, if these are distinct portions of your brain, there's no reason that we can't each become quite good at different types of intelligence. It just takes the right form of practice, enough dedication, enough repetitions so that we actually learn, etc. One more note about IQ. Einstein never took an IQ test, but it has been estimated that his IQ was about 160, which is 4 standard deviations above average, which is a tiny percentage, about 1 in 32,000 people. Einstein, of course, was the most famous scientist ever. He revolutionized physics when it was at an early enough phase that it was possible for one person to still do so. But that's not to diminish his accomplishments, though apparently many of the ideas that he came up with were in concert with his wife. They came up with them together and published under his name. But you don't have to be a literal genius to be a successful scientist. For example, Richard Feynman, one of my role models, apparently had an IQ of about 125, but he was so good at physics that apparently other physicists were actually intimidated by him just from the speed at which he could think and the quality of the ideas that he could come up with. So IQ and intelligence, as society thinks about it, is definitely not the be-all, end-all. Humans have lots of other strengths, things that AI is not going to be doing for a long time. When a job requires lots of creativity, adaptability, emotional intelligence, motor skills, that's where humans will continue to shine. So here's a meta idea about how you can approach the direction you want your career to go in. First, pick a specific skill or type of intelligence from that list of 9, something that you want to improve, and then go off and try to improve it. Best done through lots of repeated practice. You could either double down on one type of intelligence that you're already very good at, which is traditionally how people would get well-paying jobs in our economy, by hyper-specializing, or you could also pick an unrelated skill and try to master that. Both of those can be very valuable. If you've focused on one area for a very long time, more and more of your brain gets dedicated to thinking about that and problem solving or using that type of intelligence. Having done a PhD, for example, I can think much more carefully about hypotheses and research problems and the space of what can be done than I could before my PhD. And also, there are many jobs and opportunities available to someone who can combine two things from different areas. Reason is that it's going to be less common for one person to be an expert at two pretty different things. If you learn multiple languages, you can do translation. If you're in business, you could have soft and hard skills. If you're a technician, you can do technical implementation, but also customer support. If you have IQ and you have EQ, then you're going to be a rare and valued member of your organization. So having gone down one of those paths to either double down or pick a new type of intelligence to improve upon, then just identify new opportunities, even if they're non-traditional. And if you opt to combine two types of intelligences, it's more likely that you're going to have to find a non-traditional job. On the other hand, it's probably more likely that no matter which types of things end up getting automated, there will still be a place for you to fit in. And I think the key point is to lean on mental flexibility. Learning is really key, whether you're focusing on something you already know and just improving it, polishing it, or something brand new. Case in point, a lot of AI tools are starting to pop up that don't replace a job completely, but they make some aspect of the job faster or different or able to be delegated. The more mental flexibility you have, the more willing you are to take on new tasks and trying to learn how to use these new tools, the more you'll be able to enhance your own workflow. Willingness to learn and try things out might really be as important as communication skills in the future. And if you're the type of person to seek out videos like this one, you're already well on your way to maintaining mental flexibility. Part 3, investing in yourself. We often think of investments as monetary. For example, you put money in now to receive more money in the future, but you can apply it to any resources or any efforts. For example, getting a new graduate degree is an investment of time and money into knowledge acquisition and potential future job prospects. And the question you might ask is that type of investment still worthwhile without the future job prospects? And I'll argue in this section that the answer is yes. So when it comes to investing in yourself, I think it's best to think of the goal as not to become more suitable for different jobs in the future, but rather to increase your life satisfaction. For example, by being able to do more of what's important to you, becoming better at time management, or having more and higher quality of social connections, personal development stuff, basically. And in addition to increasing life satisfaction, by investing in yourself, you can aim to have increased recognition on other axes. For example, social influence, soft influence. If you do a degree because it makes you sound cool and gets you invited to parties, for example, that would be increased social influence as a result. Besides degrees, there are tons of types of investment, of course. Embracing lifelong learning, prioritizing mental health, practicing journaling or working with a therapist, decluttering and setting SMART goals. I don't just mean goals that are the opposite of dumb, I mean the SMART framework. You can look it up if you've never heard of it. Let's talk about advanced degrees a little bit more though, because people sometimes ask me, should they start start or continue a degree program because of all the really rapid advancements that AI is undergoing, often because they believe that AGI will be here before they finish that degree. Is there any point in doing an advanced degree if it's not going to get you a job in the future? Actually, I think one of the main markers of status might continue to be degrees, not because they help you get a job, but because they represent dedicated time spent towards a specific goal. The same way we admire an athlete right now for their dedication to their training. It becomes a social indicator, basically. Unless you underestimate the power of social indicators, there was a little bit of research that showed that open source software development is primarily driven by developers' desire to have a high social standing amongst their peers. So great things can get done even when there's no money involved. And finally, getting a degree is actually a great way to weather a technological storm, assuming that you're getting paid to do the degree, either through a scholarship or because it's a PhD and you're getting a stipend, because a graduate degree is pretty insulated from what's happening in the world. Even while other people are getting fired because their jobs are just replaced, as long as funding agencies don't dry up, many graduate students will be able to continue on and complete their degrees. Now for my recommendations. Invest in yourself, edit your life, and tinker with your time management. Yes, edit your life. That's the title of a book that I read, which is very good, and I highly suggest you check it out. It's a personal development book created by an editor of text, like someone who edits books, that basically describes how you can take a close look at what you are really doing with your time and whether or not it really fits in with your first choice version of yourself. The book was especially appropriate for me because I like editing and I used to do it a fair amount until ChatGPT put me out of a job, but the book is not specific to that profession, so I hope you will enjoy it as well. In the spirit of tinkering, I'm going to recommend another book called Feel Good Productivity. This book I have not actually read yet, but it's the next audiobook in my queue. It's created by Ali Abdaal, another YouTuber who's very famous in the productivity space, and it just came out at the end of December. So maybe check it out if you want to focus more on work and productivity rather than the Edit Your Life book, which is more general. I also have 2 video recommendations to make. A TEDx talk about conversation if you'd like to increase your verbal linguistic intelligence, and a TED talk about competency and how to do more of what you care about. 2 of my favorite videos on YouTube. So there you go. Instead of getting 1 book recommendation like normal, you got 4 recommendations in this video. If you get a chance, leave a comment about your current career plans and whether they've changed or whether you want them to change because of what's happening with AI. Finally, in conclusion, we talked a bit about the types of jobs that are going to disappear quickly and the types of jobs that will probably stick around as AI automation starts to become more and more prevalent. We also discussed the theory of multiple intelligences and how AI maps to 3 or possibly 4 of the 9 different types of intelligence that humans can become experts at. IQ, which many of us think of as intelligence, is only 1 of those 9. If you're stuck on where to go with your career, you could pick one of those 9 that you're already quite good at and double down on it. Practice a lot, get as much exposure as possible. Or you can also pick a different skill set that you're not as good at or that's not your primary area and try to focus there. Both of these strategies will open up new jobs for you now and going on into the future, even as other types of jobs are starting to get automated. And finally, we discussed the importance of investing in yourself. Not just spending money to get a degree, which is one form of investing in yourself, but also personal development, like doing more of what's important to you and increasing your satisfaction, and figuring out how to establish greater recognition on other axes, such as social influence. I do think that degrees are going to become a social status indicator more so than they are already. So if people ask me, should I do an advanced degree? I would say remove the impetus that is get a better job in the future and see if it's still appealing. And it might well be. If you like intellectual pursuit or want to learn more about something or want to try to accrue some form of status or practice one of those other types of intelligence that you may not be so good at, like maybe EQ. And finally, I gave 4 recommendations in this video, 2 books and 2 videos. And there's lots of links in the description, as always, if you'd like to learn more about any of this. If you liked this video, check out this previous one I made about how to prepare for a post-AGI world. This current video you just watched is basically about surviving the advent of AGI, and this previous video over here is about what happens next. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.